So let me get this straight. You have two challengers for the Raw Women's Championship at WrestleMania brawling against each other last night on Smackdown. Two Raw Championship challengers, Becky and Charlotte, for the Raw Women's Championship are on Smackdown brawling each other. Meanwhile, the actual Smackdown Women's Champion, Asuka, can't even get a moment of airtime. Alright, just wanted to make sure we're all on the same page there. If you guys don't find a huge issue with that, then I don't know what to tell you. Because that's no longer a minor detail or a small hole in common sense and logic. That is a huge hole in common sense and logic. That is a huge detail that needs to be addressed. Becky and Charlotte are going for Ronda's championship. They're not even nowhere near Monday Night Raw. They're on Smackdown throwing hissy fits against each other. The Smackdown Women's Champion can't see the light of day. It's almost like they did to Asuka what they did to Shinsuke. And it's not almost, they did. They threw them championships just to shut them up and push them to the side. What do you mean we're not using great talents correctly? They have our championships. When in reality, Asuka is still being booked the same way she was before she won the championship. Either she's not being used or she's being rolled up by Mandy Rose and such. That's been her title reign so far. And here we are just a couple of weeks before WrestleMania, and they announce online just an hour ago that to find Asuka's #1 contender, they're going to have a fatal four-way next week between Mandy Rose, Sonya Deville, Carmella, and Naomi. If that doesn't scream they had nothing for Asuka from day one, when everyone said, oh, that's why she tapped out Becky Lynch at the Rumble, because they have big plans for Asuka? Yeah, 2 weeks before, to find out the #1 contender between Carmella, Naomi, Mandy Rose, and Sonya Deville. Yeah, that screams epic plans. That's an epic match for WrestleMania. If Naomi doesn't win that match next week, I don't know what to tell you guys. Going ballistic? Getting beyond frustrated? Oh, the Amplified man is going to find a whole new way to get amplified. Naomi is the only possible choice here. The stage is New York City. Give us a damn good wrestling match at least. Asuka deserves that. And we damn well know Naomi deserves something at this point. Naomi, Asuka, WrestleMania for the strap. Book it, Vince. For once in your damn life, do the right thing. Let's get on with the Smackdown review and reaction for Tuesday, March 19th, 2019. It's spring, baby. Let's rock it. My amplified unit, finally, we have risen from the depths of hell, out of winter, and it is the first day of spring 2019. There was light at the end of the tunnel, and we are once again in living color, man. It's almost beach season. Fellas, hopefully you've been working on that beach bod to impress all the ladies up and down the Jersey Shore or up on the West Coast or wherever the hell you are in this world. Ladies, you just gotta keep being you, and I'm sure you're gonna get a flock of dudes paying you all the attention in the world. But it's almost that time, man. Sunshine, good weather, good times, having cold ones with your friends. Man, winter time just takes a lot out of us. It really does, man. When you got shitty weather, some people love the snow, by the way. I lived in the Northeast my entire life. I'm used to the cold weather. I'm used to snow. It doesn't make it any better. It doesn't make me enjoy it anymore. I was born for Florida. If I wasn't an entertainer, I wouldn't be in New York City, I assure you. And I love New York City. There's nothing like it in the world, one of the most beautiful sights you'll ever see. I just need good weather, man. Makes us all feel so alive. Speaking of alive, Kofi Kingston, Daniel Bryan, WrestleMania 35. New York City, New Jersey, MetLife Stadium. Yours truly will be there, and I cannot wait, because this is a storyline that has captivated me from day one. from Kofi Kingston's first Gauntlet match straight through the Elimination Chamber and not beating Daniel Bryan, and then Vince McMahon trying to throw every hurdle he can toward Kofi Kingston, and Kofi keeps on hopping over every hurdle until he just can't anymore, which is what we saw last night. Now, if you read social media and you look at the response, you got a lot of today's fickle fans coming out and saying now they're over the Kofi Kingston Daniel Bryan feud. That last night's Gauntlet match felt forced, unlike the first one. Well, obviously, the first one was magic. This one was just a continuous story. So it's going to be a little more forced, relaxed. How much shock and awe were you expecting in this one? This was to further the Kofi Kingston-Daniel Bryan match for the championship at Mania, which is 100% confirmed, by the way. Vince just has to announce it, but that's part of the storyline. So relax. It's going to be a little forced. I think a lot of people hear people like myself talking about how Becky and Ronda fell off the tracks long ago, and it's no longer as special as people once thought it was going to be. So now everyone thinks that every single feud we can say that about. If something goes a little off track or something they don't agree with, then the whole feud, the whole story is dead to them. Well, you keep that to yourself, because the Amplified Man can tell you right now, in 30 years watching this business, this product, this company, more especially WWE, 30 plus years, I cannot believe I'm saying this in 2019, of all times. Because just like 2018, 2019 started off tragically, horrible for creative, and for WWE as a whole. So I can't believe I'm saying this right here in 2019, heading into WrestleMania, but this is one of the best storylines Vince McMahon and WWE has ever come up with. And again, you can't give them all the credit in the world because this happened organically. This was natural. But sometimes some of the best storylines happen organically, naturally. Because Kofi from day one was never going to be catapulted to one of the main events at Mania to take on Daniel Bryan. No, this was magic, lightning in a bottle. But I'm just glad that Vince decided to run with it because we saw what he did when Zack Ryder caught some lightning in a bottle and caught some momentum. He didn't roll with it. We saw what he did when Rusev caught lightning in a bottle and momentum. He didn't roll with it. We saw what he did when Becky Lynch got some momentum and lightning in a bottle. He ruined it. But with Kofi, he rolled with it and he did everything right. BC, he beat 5 top talent last night. How is that believable, BC? Well, let me go through this with you, because first of all, the story in itself takes precedent over anything else. So how do you go about beating these 5 individuals? Well, if you look at the 5 individuals, guys, it was roll-up central. Smackdown was roll-up down. Everybody got rolled up for the most part, right? Cesaro was a roll-up. Samoa Joe was a roll-up. Randy Orton, for all intent and purposes, was a roll-up. So they were all roll-ups. This is the sign of desperation. Now, normally for your hero, you don't want roll-ups because that is desperation. And you guys know, if you are faithful to this channel, you know what I say all the time. I cannot stand roll-up victories. They happen way too much in this company. But this is the time for them. You have a guy who needs to, any way possible, beat 5 people. This isn't about showcasing better moves than you. This isn't about showing you that I'm better than you because of the moves that I'm presenting, or that I can beat you with my Trouble in Paradise, or my inadverted 450 splash, or my fucking moonsault from the Empire State Building. No, this is I need to beat you to get to where I need to be. So 3 roll-ups basically out of the 5, that's believable. That shows you there's a guy who doesn't care how he's going to beat you. He just wants to win. I had a good good buddy of mine. His name was Danny O. That's what we called him, Danny O. And we would do some extra, we would smoke some stuff, all right? This is back in the day. I'm not advocating this, but we would do a little smoke, and it wasn't cigarettes, although that would come afterwards. But we would smoke a lot of stuff, we would drink a lot of things, and we'd play Madden football on the video consoles, man. I forgot what he had. Maybe this was fucking Xbox, right? Was that the big thing back in the day? Is it I'm not a gamer, by the way. I only played Madden because Danny O, when he smoked, would always play Madden. So I said, give me the fucking remote. And over time, I got really good at that game. At the end of that game, Danny O would be in the lead because he was just better than me. I would come over to his house, smoke, and play that game. Danny O lived there 24/7. He basically didn't have a job. He did. It was very illegal. I won't get into it. But he stayed home, and he just played that game. So he was obviously better, but I got so good that I was even with him for a while. And I just needed all 4 quarters. I needed every minute of the game. But what Danny O would do is the second he got a lead late in the game, even if it's the 3rd quarter, he would play keep away, basically. He would run out the clock. He would have his quarterback running all over the place, take some knees, just do running plays, never pass the ball. So I never, or at least very rarely, got the ball back in the 4th quarter. So I never actually had a chance to win, and I always would complain, Danny O, what the fuck? Give me a chance, man. This isn't fun. It's a video game. We're supposed to be going head to head. And you're playing keep away. You're not letting me have a chance to win the game. Well, how fun is that? And Danny O looked at me. I'll never forget this. And he goes, fun? I'm all about winning. He goes, as long as when the clock hits 0, I have more points than you, that's all that matters. And I never forgot that because I thought that was one of the awesomest lines I've ever heard in my life. I don't care if it's a video game or anything in real life. When the clock hits 0 and I have more points than you, I'm better than you, that's all that matters. It doesn't matter how he won. He ran away, he ran the ball, but he had more points than me at the end of the game. He was better than me. Kofi Kingston doesn't matter if he's passing the ball in a Hail Mary for the touchdown in some glamorous victory. He just wanted to win. He rolled motherfuckers up last night. I hate roll-ups. Last night, they worked. They told the story beautifully. I'll run it through real quick. First opponent for Kofi was Sheamus. This was Trouble in Paradise. This was a straight-out victory. This is the best that Kofi had, the most energy, so you would believe that he could take out Sheamus with a Trouble in Paradise. Right afterwards, he had Cesaro. Cesaro was the first victim of Roll-Up Central. Kofi Kingston was able to roll up Cesaro. Cesaro is defeated. We go on to the 3rd competitor, which is Rowan. Rowan, for some reason, gets disqualified. So Rowan can still look like a beast because he didn't get pinned. However, you can look like a beast and still look pretty stupid as well. Because why wouldn't you win or lose, then attack Kofi Kingston and put him through the announce table? So there isn't a lot of logic there, but the story continues, and it gets told correctly for Kofi Kingston anyway. He gets to go on to the 4th competitor. What that says about Rowan, I have no idea. But again, Rowan gets disqualified. Kofi Kingston is 3-0. He goes on to face Samoa Joe. Samoa Joe gets rolled up. Now, I hate seeing somebody like Samoa Joe losing anyway, especially in a roll-up if it was not this circumstance. But you add on the fact that he's got a championship. No, I'm not 100% down with that. I wish there was a better way for Samoa Joe. And here's what I would have done. I would have had Samoa Joe with the Coquina Clutch. He actually beats Kofi Kingston, but in his fit of rage, he keeps it on. So the referee has no choice but to reverse the decision. We've seen that before in WWE a number of times. We don't see it so much anymore today, but we used to see it a lot back in the day. The referee can reverse his decision. This would make Samoa Joe look legit badass. keep all the steam, momentum, and badassery that he has, and it would also keep the story going. Let Kofi go on to Randy Orton. So Samoa Joe wins the match, Kofi in a clutch, but he does not let loose. He does not let go, so the reversal of the decision is made. Kofi gets to move on. That's what I would have done. Instead, they went with a roll-up. Okay. Beggars can't be choosers on this, man. We'll look past that, man. I just wish they would have gotten more creative with Samoa Joe. Now we go on to Randy Orton. Randy Orton's getting the best of Kofi Kingston, which is what should have been happening. And basically, at the end of this match, right when there's about to be an RKO, it turns into a roll-up. Again, this is the ultimate telling of somebody who is desperate. This is the ultimate desperation story. To win that many times via roll-up. He didn't care how he was doing it. He just needed to get the job done if it was possible. And Kofi proved last night when he defeated Randy Orton 1, 2, 3 that it was at least possible. It wasn't the most glamorous of victories, none of them, but it was possible. He did it. And at the end of this, it was beautiful. The celebration was on, and Vince McMahon comes out once more to throw another hurdle at Kofi Kingston. And this hurdle wasn't a giant like Eric Rowan, or a badass like Samoa Joe, or a fucking cerebral assassin in his own right. No offense, Triple H. I have to steal that because I can't just say apex predator. It just doesn't really go with Orton, man. This guy is a cerebral assassin of his own. So I will have to steal Triple H's moniker there. Apex Predator, that's fine. This guy is a cerebral assassin. That's what Randy Orton is. At the end of the day, this guy knows this business in and out. He's fluent, he's flawless at nearly all times. And when you beat somebody like Randy Orton, Samoa Joe, Eric Rowan, and you're a size and stature of Kofi Kingston, I can believe that. Because guys like that can find ways to beat the bigger dudes. But when you take out somebody that Vince McMahon threw at him last, which was Daniel Bryan, now we're talking interest. Because Daniel Bryan, if you look at Kofi Kingston's face when Vince announced Bryan, Kofi knew. Daniel Bryan is one of those motherfuckers that just gives him a challenge. And Kofi, for some reason, can't find the ingredients to the recipe to beat Daniel Bryan. He can beat a badass like Joe. He can beat a cerebral assassin, apex predator like Randy Orton. He can beat a monster like Rowan. But when it comes to Daniel Bryan, he has not figured out the recipe yet. He doesn't have all the ingredients in the order. So Vince calls out Daniel Bryan and Kofi's like, fuck. And sure enough, within 3 or 4 minutes later, Daniel Bryan is beating Kofi Kingston 1, 2, 3. I love this. The storytelling was beautiful. He beat all 5 individuals, desperation style, roll up after roll up. One guy had to get DQ'd, but he did it. And at the very end, Vince screws him again by bringing out the heavyweight champion, Daniel Bryan, as a 6th competitor. And he knows Daniel Bryan has Kofi's number. So Daniel Bryan, once again, just like Elimination Chamber, defeats Kofi Kingston. Absolutely love this. Kofi Kingston down on his back. 1, 2, 3 got defeated. Daniel Bryan celebrating. And the last words we hear is Kofi Kingston will not be going to WrestleMania. We fade to black, Smackdown goes off the air. And that, my friends, is how you tell a story. So for anyone on social media going, that was forced, or I am no longer down with this matchup, this match is boring now, then, my friends, nothing will ever entertain you in this company or this business then, if you're not on board with what is happening. Because, my friends, that is what you call a storyline. Whether you like it or not, that's definitely your prerogative. That's fine. Maybe you're not down with this match. Maybe you never were. Maybe last night was the last straw for you. For yours truly, I will be there live at MetLife Stadium to watch Kofi Kingston versus Daniel Bryan. And there is something about these two. The chemistry. You saw it at Elimination Chamber. You saw their facial expressions before they took battle last night. There is a chemistry there that is just second to none. So when I'm there live at MetLife, and when you're there watching around the world on the network, because whether you hated it or not, you will be watching, you are going to be witnessing something so epic. Something we haven't seen in a long time. You're going to witness a storyline finally come to fruition. I don't see how Kofi leaves MetLife without that strap. And that is a moment that I have not seen in about 5 years since Daniel Bryan did that at WrestleMania 30, New Orleans, when he beat 3/4 of Evolution, Batista, Randy Orton, and Triple H all in one night. 2 separate matches. And did the unthinkable. I love the chemistry between Kofi and Daniel Bryan. It is goosebumps for me. I can't wait to get to MetLife for that one match alone at this point. The rest of WrestleMania's card, I have to think more in depth about, and I will on this channel for you guys. But that one match, man, I can't believe the time, the focus and the detail they are delivering to this storyline. Because this started before Elimination Chamber, guys. And they're doing it brilliantly. I love this. Kofi Kingston, to the casual fan, they really... Guys, listen. A lot of you guys watch, most of you guys watching the Amplified Man on this channel, you guys are what we call smart fans. You know the ins and outs of the business. And if you don't, I'm teaching you every day on this. Or whenever I post a video. But a lot of WWE's audience, guys, is a casual fan. They really do think Vince is screwing Kofi and he's not going to be at Mania. So how fun is that for them? Or irritating right now. They're probably angry, frustrated. So imagine the ultimate payoff for those fans. You know? And for a diehard smart fan like myself, man, I can tell you, this is fun. Kofi's finally going to have his moment. And again, who if not Kofi? Who is going to take on Daniel Bryan for the strap, guys? AJ Styles again? AJ versus Bryan again? For the strap at Mania now? Or was it going to be Mustafa Ali? He really earned that, man. He's been on the main roster, what, 6 months? He's been injured or out for 3 to 4 weeks at least, right? One of those months, or the majority of a month, he was out of action of those 6 months. 2 months, he's been on a losing streak. How does that deserve a WrestleMania match against Daniel Bryan? It wouldn't. And anyone saying that would have been Mustafa if he wasn't injured, that was the place of Kofi. I can't tell you he would have captivated us because half the storyline here is that it took 11 years for Kofi to get here. And I'm going to hit you with something else that a lot of people don't like. All of a sudden now, Kofi Kingston is beating all this top talent. Where was this for the past 11 years? Guys, confidence. Confidence is second to none. When somebody has confidence, it's almost like they're a reborn, renowned person. It's just... Renowned, I should say. Renowned. They're probably renowned too to their buddies and their family and their loved ones. They're renowned. But they're renowned to themselves. They're reborn. It's like a redone person. Because confidence can make you a new person. When you see a person without confidence, it is like a shell of what they are. And then when you see that same person with confidence, there is an aura that is, again, I will say this again, second to none. Confidence does wonders for a person. But also, when you were at desperation's end, when you don't see the light at the end of the tunnel, when you don't give any fucks anymore because every obstacle has been thrown in front of you, when you feel like there is no hope, so you're just going to give it all you have, that is sometimes when you are at your best. You remember, what was it, June 11th, 1997, Michael Jordan, Game 5 against the Utah Jazz in the playoffs. This guy had a fever in the hundreds. And Michael Jordan went out there and put on a defensive clinic and scored 38 points. The Bulls won that by a couple of points. A magical performance by Michael Jordan with a fever. He was told not even to play the game. But he says, I got nothing to lose but this game. My team has everything to lose. I'm going to go out there and give it everything I have. And he did that with a fever in the hundreds. nearly 40 points in a defensive clinic. Brett Favre for the Green Bay Packers, the day after his father died and everybody told him not to play against the Oakland Raiders on Monday Night Football. And Brett Favre went over there, and what did he do? 399 passing yards, nearly 400 yards passing, 4 touchdowns, one of his greatest games ever played. When he was mentally checked out, he said, I have nothing to lose. I just lost my father. Nothing could be bigger, so I'm going to go out and give it all I have. Kofi Kingston went out there and said, you know what? I have nothing to lose. Vince is clearly going to find every way to make sure I don't go to Mania. I'm going to go out and give it everything I have. I'm going out in a blaze of glory. And if that wasn't a blaze of glory, then I don't know what was or what would be. Absolutely epic. Loved every part of this. And I'm going to continue to enjoy where the story goes from here. Because we still got a couple of Smackdowns. Vince is going to continue to try to screw Kofi. As far as the viewing party in the back, I could take it or leave it. It did build some suspense. Again, to the casual fan, they're really like, wow, man, this is the biggest thing in the world. So, whatever. I hate seeing teams that are gonna, or people that are gonna face each other at the pay-per-view next to each other. I think we're gonna see Hardy Boys and Usos, which would be awesome at Mania. But I don't like seeing them side by side at that viewing party cheering on Kofi. I would have left one of those teams off camera. You didn't need everybody. For people like Nikki Cross, I'm sure they love the viewing party because they got to be shown on TV. Look, Mom, I really am part of WWE. Moving on. Becky Lynch, Charlotte, both on the newly formed KO show. KO's got a little tie on. He's got new cute graphics. And this was just Kevin Owens kind of instigating a fight because his moniker is Fight Owens Fight. He wants to instigate a fight between Becky and Charlotte. So that's what Kevin Owens does. I first say, why is Becky Lynch still limping? Wasn't it nearly 2 months ago where Triple H and Stephanie McMahon, maybe it was 2 months or maybe even more than 2 months ago, but around 2 months ago, Stephanie McMahon, Triple H told Becky Lynch that the report from the doctors was that Becky Lynch is fine. Not even a sprain, right? Or a sprain at the most. As somebody who played football in his high school games on a broken freaking ankle. Kurt Angle, that was for you. But that's a true story, guys. I played a game, or 2 games, I should say. Should not have done either one. 2 games my freshman year on a broken freaking ankle. Because everyone thought it was sprained. Or maybe it was at first. I don't know. I should have been fucking playing on it. But I did play on it, and when we finally got it checked out, it was broke. Absolutely fucking shattered. But I can tell you that if you have a sprain or less, because she was able to compete, she was cleared, why is she limping too? This is what I mean about making her look weak as fuck. Everybody thought she was going to be this badass character, and she has looked nothing but weak. Week in and week out. These are the little details that aren't so little to the amplified man. This is like the holes in logic that we just cannot have. Just make her walk again, normally. You already said she was cleared months ago. Anyway, KO is successful in getting them to fight each other. This was just an awkward brawl. This was horrible. I'd rather see what Ronda Rousey was doing on Monday, beating up security, than Charlotte and Becky in that awkward, mediocre, lackluster brawl. Nobody was selling at all. Charlotte wasn't selling. Becky wasn't selling. They weren't laying in good pops. The crowd wasn't into it. It was just weird. And maybe it's because we've seen Charlotte and Becky Lynch so many times with these brawls, so many pay-per-views, so many matches. And guys, think about it. This is your main event for WrestleMania when I told you it shouldn't be because it wasn't going to captivate us. Think about what is happening. This has turned into just Charlotte and Becky Lynch again. Look what we saw last night. Ronda Rousey is in left field with a hockey stick. She's doing her own thing on Raw, being a badass. We have Becky Lynch and Charlotte just doing their own feud. How is this a triple threat main event? This is just Charlotte versus Becky again. Regurgitated, redundant. And at WrestleMania, Ronda will show up. That's your triple threat main event, because what I'm viewing is Charlotte and Becky Lynch in a one-on-one feud again, and then Ronda's just going to show up and it'll be triple threat. That's what it seems like. This is not even off the tracks, this feud, this Becky Lynch storyline. This is just tragic and criminal at this point. And this is our main event. I'm not even joking. I might leave MetLife Stadium when that match starts just to beat the traffic. Legit? Not even kidding. I don't see how that or the ending is going to captivate me. The only way I would be pissed is if they set up a horsewomen feud at WrestleMania at the end of that match. And here I am in some subway trying to get back to the city. Then I'd be fucking pissed. But any other outcome, I don't give a shit. Sasha Banks and Bayley. They show up to Smackdown. Sasha Banks finally on Smackdown. And boy, I bet you they wish they never showed up. They faced the Iconics. I think this is only their second title defense. Right? Oh, no, it wasn't even a title defense. I'm sorry. They've only had one title defense. I think this is only like their second or third match, correct? On the main roster since having the titles? I know they fought Nia and Tamina. Oh, maybe they had another match this past. I don't fucking know. All I know is that they just won the titles. And they're already losing in roll-up simplistic fashion. The Iconics, I can't make this up. If you didn't watch it, you probably think I'm just fucking with you. The Iconics defeated Sasha Banks and Bayley, the tag team champions, last night. Clean. No cheatery, because at the end of that match, they tried to sell you, the commentary team, Byron Saxton. They cheated! No, they didn't. Go back and watch the end of that match. Billie Kay took out Bayley on the outside. Sasha Banks wasn't paying attention to Peyton Royce on the inside. Why is Sasha concerned with the outside? Because Billie Kay went to trip her up? Okay, that was in the past. Like my 16 ex-girlfriends. That's in the past. You move on in life. You find better. You do better. Sasha Banks almost got tripped up, okay? Bayley was taking care of that, or got taken care of. But the bottom line is Billie Kay was no longer attending to you. So you turned to better. As in beating Peyton Royce. Get the job done inside the ring. So Sasha's concerned with Billie Kay still, and she gets rolled up by Peyton Royce. These are the roll-ups I don't like. Kofi Kingston's believable and what should be happening, desperation. For Peyton Royce, maybe you could say that's desperation. The Iconics just wanted to will their way to a victory. They didn't care how. And that's believable, absolutely. They're the heels. But you can't have Sasha and Bayley losing like that. They're champions! On top of that, it's Sasha Banks. Whether you like her or not, love her or hate her, she's one of the best female competitors we've ever seen. And she's just getting rolled up by Peyton? In an 8-minute match? At best. I might be giving it too much credit. The only reason I'm not more pissed, this is going to sound crazy and I don't know where this is coming from, I actually don't mind the Iconics lately. I'm not saying they're great wrestlers, absolutely not. But in pro wrestling, in WWE especially, it's about the entertainment at large. The Iconics are actually entertaining in a weird way. So I could see how Vince would want to give them a push. Again, as long as they're safe in the ring and keep getting better, I'm on board. I am not on board with them beating Sasha and Bayley like they did last night. Absolutely not. If you need to pump up the Iconic stock, you do not do it at the expense of your newly crowned tag team champs. And what does it lead to? Exactly what I said in yesterday's Raw review and reaction video. Looks like it's going to be a fatal 4-way, which would really be 8 people, 8-way, Tag Team Championship match at Mania. Nia and Tamina, Beth and Natalya, Sasha and Bayley, the Iconics. Looks like a fatal 4-way. 8 participants, a schmaz match. I cannot stand schmaz matches on singles competitors, especially championships. Just imagine what I'm going to be doing when there's 8 women in there for 2 tag straps. The Miz last night. Let's go to him. The Miz cut an awesome promo, I felt, last night. Damn good promo on Shane McMahon. Just an excerpt of what he said. Everybody always said I was average. I was destined to flip burgers at my dad's hero shop. But I believed in myself and fought my way through the real world, which I love that line, because that's where I first ever saw The Miz, on a show called The Real World on MTV. It was a reality show when reality shows were basically non-existent. I fought my way through the real world and earned the love of my father and the respect of everybody who ever doubted me. I love that, man. That was a promo that was so intense. I've never seen that type of intensity from The Miz. And I've seen intensity from The Miz. But that type, that was like he discovered something new within himself. Something that was lying in there that he never knew possible existed. That was really cool by The Miz, and even though you didn't have any friction between Shane and The Miz, you didn't even have Shane on the show, you didn't need it. Because with Kofi Kingston shadowing the show, that was a beautiful way to continue Shane McMahon in The Miz. That one intensifying promo by The Miz, man. I absolutely love that. That was the show, guys, because that Gauntlet match took up a full hour. So aside from Becky Lynch, Charlotte on the KO show, Sasha Banks and Bayley versus the Iconics in the promo by The Miz, that was your SmackDown. It was okay. I cannot trash the show. I love the Gauntlet match. I love the story being told. I love that they're giving it the time, the focus, finally. I wish they would do that for Samoa Joe's loss again. I wish it wasn't just a roll-up for Joe. But everything else is getting detail in this story, man. And we continue next week to see what Vince McMahon is going to throw at Kofi again. But I promise you guys, this is going to lead to Kofi and Daniel Bryan for the strap at Mania. And the ultimate payoff is going to be ultimate. Just stick with it, man. I don't see how anybody can not like this, man. And not believable? I hear you, but look at the way these victories occurred. Roll-up after roll-up, man. He was desperate and he was reaching for anything. And if you tell me Kofi Kingston isn't good enough to beat any one of these guys on any given day, I call bullshit. Kofi Kingston is that good. Storyline-wise, we as fans can believe that he just lost that confidence. Or maybe he didn't believe in himself as much as he should have. That's where I like to suspend my disbelief and enter the pro wrestling storyline world. That's where I am in this whole thing. Hopefully you guys can find a spot like that as well and really enjoy this the way I am, because that is awesome. And again, The Miz really delivered in his promo. Becky Lynch, Charlotte continue. That whole triple threat main event for WrestleMania continues. It's already off the rails. At this point, maybe they're in the Atlantic Ocean or the fucking, yeah, well, it's MetLife Stadium. So yeah, they're in the Atlantic Ocean. If they find everybody, then the main event is still on. If not, no loss for anybody, because then we can put Kofi and Daniel Bryan in that spot. We can put Seth and Brock in that spot. Hell, I would like Batista and Triple H in the main event. If that is going to be our main event build for Charlotte, Becky, and Ronda, because that is utter bullshit. Ronda Rousey, I absolutely believe, looks like somebody going to a main event. What they're doing with Becky and Charlotte? Regurgitated bullshit. And now it's just awkward. They're not even laying into each other. Nobody's selling. At least when, Ronda and Becky were no-selling, it's because they had real heat. They really wanted to take each other's heads off. That's what I like. Charlotte and Becky, I don't know what the fuck this even is. I'm the Amplified Man. That was your week in WWE. Yesterday's Raw review and reaction. If you didn't catch it, check it out. Much different than today's. Today's I'm actually happy with. Yesterday, I went a little ballistic because the show made me go ballistic. SmackDown picked up the slack, thankfully. And now we go on. There's only 2 weeks left, guys, before WrestleMania. I still have to make my plans as far as Access, Hall of Fame, NXT, TakeOver. I still got a lot of planning to do, guys. But, yeah, So we're going to do that. After I do a lot more, I got a lot of errands to do in the world first. Hopefully tonight I can get my WrestleMania plans in order. And by the podcast, hopefully I can let you guys in on what that's going to be. That's it. I got to get the fuck out of here. Amplified Man, holla at your boy. Peace, because he's out for now. Podcast this weekend. Don't miss it, guys. I promise you we're going to go over an hour. We didn't have a podcast last week because I was up in New England. That all changes. I promise you the podcast is back over a full hour. We're going to cover a plethora of stories. We're going to have a lot of fun. We're going to get amplified. All right, I'm going to shut up. I got another pen. Yes, that one went much farther. Amplified Man, check you.